Hello, everybody. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be with you tonight. And as I announced before, we have a very special webinar this evening with the presence of Dr. Veronique Traynard, who is bringing to us a topic that is very important nowadays. Population is growing older, especially here in Europe, and people are living longer, which is a good thing, but not necessarily always on good health. And the whole point of living longer is obviously to be able to enjoy those years, extra years in good health. So today we are talking about aging on a healthy way. And for that, we have Veronique with us. Hello, Veronique. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello.
Hello. So this topic is really important, and I'm going to kick the ball straight to you so we can talk to us about this. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Nino. So, hello, everybody. So, thank you for being here. So, today we are going to talk about natural strategies for healthy aging. Just a brief introduction about the fact that the population in Europe is aging. So I will take the case of France because it was it's just an example, but in any countries in Europe it's the same trend. So in fact 20% of the population is age 65 years old and over, and 25% of the population is over 60 years old. So it's really a significant proportion of the population. So it's really important to take into account that aging is we cannot really fight against it, but it's important to be in an healthy way. So and really, as the life expectancy is increasing. It's still increasing. We really need to take into account that the time in between 50 and death, it's really long right now, and the time where we stay healthy depends really on environmental factors, lifestyle factors, and nutritional status. So it's really important to take into account this change and adaptation of the diet, and for some discomfort while aging, food supplements. So the idea is really to give you what is going on during aging, so the physiological process in aging. So it's a natural process, it's not a pathological process, but it's a physiological process. And the first thing is, while we age, the repair and renewal system is altered. So the regeneration capacity of the body is decreased. So it's linked to the fact that we produce less stem cells. There is a weaker mobilization of the stem cell, and also a natural migration of them to the injured tissue or in need of renewal. And this general dysfunction of stem cells will be associated to the decline of regeneration. Also, while we age, there is an increase in oxidative stress. It's not linked to the fact that we consume less antioxidant in the diet. It's more linked to physiological process, because we have less ability to decrease, in fact, the species reactive to oxygen. It's more linked to the fact that we cannot really trap them, and it's really the endogenous capacity that is decreased. We have also an increase in DNA damage, so nuclear DNA damage. But also we have also a lot of damages in DNA in mitochondria. Mitochondria is the power cell of so it's where we produce cellular energy, and we have 10 times higher in terms of damages than in DNA, in nuclear DNA. So it's important to say to take into account that, in fact, there is also damages in mitochondrial DNA. It's really important to maintain the cellular energy level, because if we cannot produce energy, we can have cellular reaction, and the tissue cannot process, cannot function properly. There is also an aging natural in the immune system. We call it immune senescence. So it's important also to support the immune system, to be sure that we can fight against pathogens, bacteria, virus, and not to be too sensitive to infections. And there is also a shortening in the telomere. So the telomere is it's I would say, on chromosome there is a small part of the genetic information at the bottom. So it's in green, in fact, on the figure, and they are shortening while we age. But if it's too short, it's linked to the cell aging. So it's really important to have to fight against this telomere shortening, or to, I would say, to be sure that we have some a proper repair system, even if we cannot really fight against aging. Also, there is an increase in the chronic inflammation. So it's important also to control this systemic inflammation. So we will see how. And also, while we age, there is also an alteration in the blood vessels. So due to the increased oxidative stress, but also because the capacity of vasodilatation, and also I would say the fragility of the blood vessel is also higher. So it's really important to have some support for the microcirculation in the blood. So we will see how. So why I put some red circles, it's more based on some products of several that can be useful in this type of physiological process in aging. So for the stem cell support, it will be stimulants. For the control of oxidative stress, it will be plasma flow, as well as for the microcirculation. For the control of chronic inflammation, it will be Cyactive. For the immune system, we will see AFA and spironolactone in general. And also for joint health, we will see that Cyactive also can be useful. So I will also explain each strategy, natural strategy. So the first one, as we said, is the diet, the adaptation of the diet, because while we age, we have specific nutritional needs. And we can adapt to be sure to have a proper nutritional status, because if we have a natural nutritional status, it's linked to bone loss, sarcopenia, so muscle dysfunction, the risk of falls. So it's really important to keep a proper nutritional status. So it's linked to, I would say, the same rules for every age. It's just that we will adapt some dietary intakes. The first is to have a proper intake of vegetables and fruits, each carbohydrate or starchy food at each meal, a proper protein intake from meat, from fish, from eggs, and also 3 to 4 milk-based products per day, because we have a higher needs in calcium, and also to reduce or limit the intake of saturated fat and sugar, and to have different sources of unsaturated fat. Why I'm focusing on vegetables and fruit? It's because we have higher minerals and vitamins needs while we age. So as fruits and vegetables are rich in vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, as well as fibers, it's important to have a proper intake at each meal of vegetables and fruits. Also, we have an increased protein requirements by 20%. So it's at least 1 gram per kilogram of body weight. So it's really important to have at each meal at least, I would say, 30 grams of proteins. It can be from, as I said, fish, eggs, meat, whatever, and 4 meal-based products, so yogurt, cheese, milk. It's really important to increase the consumption of milk-based products to have a proper intake in calcium and vitamin D. So it will preserve muscle mass, muscle strength, and also bone mass, to be sure to fight against falls and sarcopenia, which is the loss of muscle mass. Also, as we said, a proper hydration, because while we age, we drink less water. So it's really important to have between 1.5 to 2 liters of water per day. So that's really, I would say, the general rules that we have while we age. To increase the milk-based product, to increase the protein intake, and also to enrich the diet with calories, or with I would say protein-based or milk-based ingredients. So really, and also to keep the proper hydration. But it's important to adapt the diet, but also the physical activity. Why? Because if we don't move, we lose the independence we have to live in our home. So the physical activity has, I would say, a lot of health benefits that is really well known, to reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease, hypertension, limit body weight gain, also improve the lipid profile, I would say, reduce the risk of osteoporosis, sarcopenia, which is the loss of muscle mass, the risk of stroke. It will also improve the quality of life, reduce the stress, improve the sleep quality, and also will improve the flexibility of the joint and the muscle. So it will be associated to the maintenance of mobility, and mobility is really linked to the fact to be able to walk, to do the daily activities at home, and the independence. So 30 minutes per day of moderate physical activity is advised. So it can be, I would say, walking, biking, whatever, swimming pool, yoga, whatever, but it's not necessarily high intensity physical activity while we age. It can be a blend between low intensity physical activity, moderate, and high. The only thing is to do it every day. So the two main strategy we say, diet and physical activity, so it's the basis, I would say. And after, we will add some strategies that are more linked to physiological process while we age. So the third strategy will be to support the normal vascular health and to limit oxidative stress, to really support the cell function and blood circulation. As a reminder, it's important not to underestimate the role of the blood circulation. It's the basis and the way to deliver and transport cells, so stem cells, immune cells, nutrient and oxygen to the tissues. So to make their proper nutrition. So it's really important to have a proper I would say a traffic route to be sure that it's delivered properly. The vascular function will be dependent on inflammatory process, antioxidant or oxidative stress, dependent on the capacity of vasoconstriction or dilatation of the blood vessels, and also the clotting of the blood capacity. So it's important to keep this balance between the antioxidant we will have. We will produce some antioxidant enzyme, we will have some antioxidant from the diet or food supplements, and the fact that as we consume oxygen, we will produce constantly some species reactive to oxygen. So we need to trap them to be sure that they don't trigger some DNA damage, protein damage. They will also, I would say, trigger and also maintain chronic inflammation. It will increase the risk of atherosclerosis. And yes, while we age, there is an increase of oxidative stress, but it can be also higher. The oxidative stress can be higher because of metabolic disease, hypertension, stress, pollution. So it can be a mix of environmental factors that will lead to oxidative stress. So it's really important to keep in mind that this species reactive to oxygen will induce vascular damage, dysfunction. So it's really important to control this oxidative stress by a proper intake of antioxidant. Also, what we saw is that there is DNA damage in the nucleus of the cell, but also in the mitochondria, which is really the power cells which produce energy. So while we produce energy, we will also produce free radicals that are really unstable, as we said, because it's in the respiratory chain of the mitochondria. While we produce energy, we also produce a species reactive to oxygen. So it's a normal process. But in the mitochondria, we have also antioxidant to trap them. So while we age, this capacity of trapping the species reactive to oxygen will be decreased. So there will be a lower energy production efficiency and a less effective scavenging of the free radicals and a structural abnormalities. So it's important to have this proper intake of antioxidant also to protect mitochondrial and nuclear DNA. It was just also to summarize it that the capacity of DNA repair will be also decreased when we age. So it's important to support, I would say, the decrease of the production of oxidative stress, but also to protect the capacity of repair. So it's really both that is important. And the fact that the DNA is damaged will trigger mutation in DNA and abnormalities of structures and cell death. So while we age, also in the course of aging, we will have a decrease in the blood vessel elasticity, an increase in oxidative stress, as we saw, a decrease in blood flow, and altered microcirculation. These four criteria will lead to an altered, I would say, vascular health. So it's really important to support also microcirculation. Plasma flow could be a solution, a natural solution to support this microcirculation and will provide, I would say, contribute to the intake of antioxidants. So we had 4 antioxidants: olive polyphenol, astaxanthin, cocoa flavanol, and silverstone. We have also 3 plant extracts specific to vascular health to really support the elasticity of the vessel. So it will be gotu kola, so Centella asiatica, ginkgo biloba, and hesperidin from lemon. And also we have the fibrinolytic enzymes to digest the excess of fibrin. So we will have this product for the intake of antioxidants and the support of microcirculation, and it will control the excess of oxidative stress. So what is really important is to keep in mind that plasma flow will really support the circulatory and venous health and the microcirculation. So it's really these 3 actions. So as we said, there are 3 types of ingredients: antioxidants, extract for microcirculation, and the fibrinolytic enzymes. So it was a strategy for the excess of oxidative stress and the support of vascular health. We will see now how to limit chronic inflammation. So just to as a reminder, there is I would say, an acute inflammation that is positive for the body, because it will, when we have an injury, a lesion, we will increase the blood flow for the delivery of stem cells and immune cells. There is a recruitment of immune cells, a destruction of pathogen, and a tissue repair. So it's normal acute inflammation that is positive because it's a reaction of defense of the organism. But if the inflammation will be generalized and long term, we will repair the tissue, and simultaneously there will be a tissue destruction. There will be no inflammation resolution. There will be a slowing and the dysregulation of cellular reactions and metabolism, and also an infiltration progressively of inflammatory markers in tissue that will really lead to dysregulation of general metabolism. So it's really important to distinguish both. And what we will control is not the acute inflammation, but really the chronic inflammation that is increased wide aging. And also, it's important to keep in mind that chronic inflammation is a common denominator in several pathologies. These pathologies also are linked to aging, because there is a higher risk of developing this disease in aging. For example, neurological disease such as Parkinson or Alzheimer, diabetes, obesity, stroke, or in fact, from the myocarditis, digestive health, just like Crohn's disease or colitis, osteoarthritis. So in all these diseases, at higher risk in aging, there will be a chronic inflammation. So how we can control this inflammation, we will see. But there is a specific, I would say, factors in aging with inflammation. It's called the process of inflammaging. While we age, there will be simultaneously an increase in pro-inflammatory factors, such as cytokines, a DNA damage, an autophagy. So it's autophagy is more the cells are eating themselves, the oxidative stress, and the aging of the immune system. And all these factors will contribute to inflammaging, in addition to genetic susceptibility. So it's important to understand that it has many consequences for the body. The slowing of metabolism, muscle weakness or sarcopenia, weak immune system, bone weakness, so the risk of fracture and fall, organ or tissue dysfunction, and a decrease in hormone production and a decrease in brain plasticity, leading to altered neuron production and cognitive decline. So it's really important to see that inflammaging with oxidative stress will contribute to this consequencing, and an increased risk to develop cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, cartilage fragility or osteoarthritis, neurodegenerative disease, obesity, or cancer. So the idea is to control this chronic inflammation. So some reminders. Cyactive is a standardized extract rich in standardized in phycocyanin, so it's a blue pigment of the algae. And Cyactive has an anti-inflammatory action, so it will inhibit the activity of two pro-inflammatory enzymes, COX-2 and 5-LOX. It is exactly the same mechanism of action that anti-inflammatory non-steroidal drugs. And it will decrease in several clinical studies that are proprietary to Cyactive. The decrease in 2 weeks and 4 weeks, the primary pain score at rest and during physical activity. And also, it will even more decrease the secondary pain after 4 weeks of consumption at rest and during physical activity. In a second, also study, where the first week they will consume, the participants with joint pain will consume 500 milligrams of active. The second week they will consume nothing. The third week the placebo, and the fourth week will be half of the dose. In fact, at both doses, there is a decrease in the pain score during physical activity and also an increase in daily living activities. So it will improve the quality of life, and there is a direct link between the anti-inflammatory action and the decrease in joint pain, linked to improved quality of life. So while we age, with aging, there is a natural solution to really contribute to control this chronic inflammation. What is important also is that phycocyanin is also an antioxidant, and in fact, active is 4 times more concentrating than the dried whole algae. So it's really important to have this information, and it's 2 capsules per day, and we have 3 clinical studies on active. The strategy number 5 is more linked to the stem cell function. So the idea is to support the natural system of repair and renewal of the body. Just to remember how it functions. So when we have a tissue injury, or just in case of normal renewal of the cells in tissues, there is the tissue will release some signaling molecules, just like GCSF. We will have a release from the bone marrow of stem cell. They will circulate, migrate to the injured tissue, and there will be a proliferation and differentiation in the injured tissue. So the stem cell mobilization, so the fact to increase stem cell in the circulation, the number of stem cells, it's linked to a wide range of health benefits. The pancreatic regeneration, which is linked to the improvement of type 2 and type 1 diabetes, an improvement in neurodegenerative disease such as Alzheimer or Parkinson, the regeneration of liver, of intestine tissue, liver fibrosis, liver failure, Crohn's disease, colitis, and also a cardiac repair. So in myocardial infarction, cardiomyopathy, stroke, whatever. And also renal repair in renal failure, and muscle repair in ankle injury or muscular dystrophy. So it's important to keep in mind that the stem cell mobilization is linked to health benefits. And in the course of aging, we will have decreased production of stem cells, reduced mobilization of stem cells, and a natural migration ability. So there will be a reduced capacity of renewal and repair. So the idea with Stem Enhance Ultra will be to have 3 clinically tested stem cell mobilizers. So the first one is Stem Enhance, so the extract in aphanizomenon plus aqua. So in 2007, the first clinical study was made on healthy volunteers. They consume 1 gram of Stem Enhance, and after 1 hour, we have 25 to 30% of increase in stem cells number in the blood, corresponding to 3 to 4 millions of new stem cells in the blood. There are 3 patents, 3 clinical studies, and 4 preclinical studies on Stem Enhance. So it represents, in fact, the extract with the higher number of studies for stem cell mobilization. In addition to this first clinical study on the fact that there is a stem cell mobilization and an increase in the number of stem cells in the blood, there was a preclinical study on liver fibrosis with an improvement of fibrosis in the liver and liver histopathological scores, and an improvement in liver enzymes. There is a preclinical and a clinical study on diabetes with a decrease in fasting hyperglycemia and glycated hemoglobin in type 2 diabetes patients. And there is a preclinical study on muscular regeneration and a clinical study on football athletes with ankle injury. And in 14 days, we have, with 3 grams of stimulants, an improvement of pain score, flexibility, and movement of range of motion. So this is the first extract in Stemmenens Ultra. The second one is wakame extract, which is standardized to 85% of fucoidan. It's clinically tested in the fact to increase the number of circulating stem cells after 4, 8, and 12 days, and also an increase in the SDF1 molecule in the blood, which is the molecule to help the migration of stem cells. And the third extract in Stemmenens Ultra is the yellow fraction of spirulina called mesenchyme, which is exclusive to cereal. And after the consumption of mesenchyme, we have an increase in the GCSF concentration in the blood, which represents the signaling molecule to release stem cell from the bone marrow. So we have these 3 extracts with 3 complementary mechanisms of action: increase in GCSF, increase in the SDF1, and inhibition of L-selectin in the bone marrow for Stemmenens. And it will create a synergy and will support the natural system of repair and renewal of the body. As we said, it has the highest number of studies, and 2 exclusive extracts out of 3 are exclusive to cereal. So while in the course of aging, it will be interesting to support this repair system and renewal system. Another strategy, which is also really important, is joint health, because as we said, if we don't maintain mobility, movement, we will have a loss of independence of the middle-aged people. So the idea is really to support joint health. So just a reminder of the joint. We have the cartilage in blue. It's composed of extracellular matrix with chondrocytes. Chondrocytes will produce the elements of the extracellular matrix, and such as collagen, proteoglycan. We have also the bone. We have the muscle all around, and also we have 2 capsules, the synovial capsules and the joint capsules. So when we have joint discomfort, we have clinical signs. So we have joint pain, limitation of mobility, joint stiffness, joint swelling, and a difficulty to daily activities. So it's really important to keep in mind that the risk factors linked to joint discomfort, such as chronic inflammation and oxidative stress, are increased with aging. So we are at risk of joint discomfort when we age. So it's linked to the fact that when we have pro-oxidant species and pro-inflammatory factors, we will damage DNA and proteins in the cartilage. We will increase the apoptosis, the cellular death of chondrocytes. We will inhibit also the production of collagen and proteoglycan in the cartilage. And we will have also a cartilage degradation, a synovial inflammation, and an infiltration of immune cells in the cartilage. That is linked to osteoarthritis. With aging, there is also a vascular impairment. We already have seen that. There is also a decline of cartilage nutrition linked to the vascular impairment. There is also a decrease in the chondrocyte activity that is really linked to aging, to oxidative stress, to proteolytic enzymes, and also inflammation. So we will have a joint cartilage destruction, also a loss of structural and mechanical properties, fragmentation of the matrix, and some calcification that could also appear of the cartilage. So it will lead to a decline in cartilage health, so the capacity, a loss of mobility, and also a decreased quality of life, a loss of autonomy, and also it's really linked to muscular weakness and decreased bone density. We have in Flex 4 clinically tested extracts for joint pain. So the first one is active. So we already saw that it will decrease the joint pain at rest and during physical activity. We will have also a decrease in muscle and joint stiffness with cherry powder. So the cherry powder is tart cherry powder is really linked to sport nutrition at first, but it's also I would say demonstrated for muscle and joint stiffness and the muscle damages after physical activity. So it's really interesting also for the muscle health. And the eggshell membrane will decrease the joint pain, the swelling, the joint stiffness, leading to a functional improvement. It will also have a nutritional action because it will provide, in fact, the cellular the elements of the extracellular matrix, and also the extract put in the formula is also clinically tested to reduce the cartilage degradation. In fact, the cartilage degradation markers are quantified in the urine, and with the consumption of the eggshell membrane extract, we have a decrease in these markers. There is also a Boswellia serrata extract, so it's a gum. The consumption of this extract will lead to a decrease in joint pain, joint stiffness, swelling, and a functional improvement in osteoarthritis, which is really linked to aging. It's a disease that is really linked to aging. So we have 4 clinically tested extracts that are really complementary in terms of action. So the Flex could be really the solution for joint health, for discomfort relief, but also the support and improvement of flexibility and joint function. So it's really a combination of anti-inflammatory action, antioxidant action, and a specific action on joint and cartilage. The last nutritional strategy I would like to talk about is really the support of immune system to fight against immune senescence, immune aging. The aging of the immune system is will contribute to an increase in the frequency, the incidence of infectious diseases, the reduction also in the quality of the vaccine response. And if you have a lower vaccine response, you will not be protected against the disease. The increase in incidence of autoimmune disease, also cancers, osteoporosis, neurodegenerative disease, diabetes. So it's linked to a decreased production and mobilization of certain immune system population of cell, and also a decrease in the directed migration, the phagocytosis, of the fact that, for example, macrophage will eat pathogens, and the immune cell signaling and cooperation between immune cells. So it's really linked to aging. And we have 2 extracts that could really help in the immune system support. The first one is AFA. Why? Because it will increase the lymphocyte and monocytes production and stimulates the recruitment of NK cells, the natural killer cells that is linked to the first line of defense, the innate immunity. The activation of macrophage will secrete more cytokines that will also recruit all the immune cells. And also, what is really important is the fact that in fact, when we consume AFA on the long term, the higher will be the effect on the immune stimulation. So it's really the chronic consumption that will lead to higher stimulation of the immune system, not an acute single dose. Spirulina is also linked to immune system support. The first is the fact that we have an increased cytotoxicity activity of the NK cells, an increased phagocytic activity of macrophage, also an increase of production of antibodies and cytokines, a higher mobilization of T cells and B cells, and an induction of immunoglobulin and a decrease in pro-inflammatory markers. And there is also an anti-allergic action that is really linked to the immune system of spirulina. We have also, which is important, is the fact that the stimulation of T cells is really linked to, will be more efficient in people that is in middle-aged people. So I would say 50 years old and 50 years old and older. So in fact, this immune stimulating effect of spirulina will be really observed in adults 50 years old and older, less observed for younger adults. So what is interesting is that it's really confirmed at clinical stage. So we have in several studies, after 6 to 12 weeks of supplementation with several grams of spirulina, we have a reduction of the immune senescence and also a reduction in anemia and a reduction of pro-inflammatory markers and an increase in antioxidant status. So really an immune stimulating effect linked to antioxidant effect also. So these are really interesting in terms of immune system support. So the summary of the natural strategies we can promote for healthy aging will be of a balanced diet and also adapted to the nutritional needs we saw for aging. So higher protein intake, higher milk-based products, higher micro nutrients, vitamins and minerals, to maintain a physical activity, support the microcirculation, the vascular health, a reduction of oxidative stress and chronic inflammation, a support of the immune system, a support also in the natural capacity of tissue repair and renewal with a support to stem cells, and a support with the joint health to maintain mobility. So it's really important to understand that all the products are really complementary. Seminins for the stem cell mobilization, plasma flow for blood circulation, Cyactive for the anti-inflammatory effects, and Cyactive for the joint health. It's important also to keep in mind that while we are aging, we have also, in fact, the skin also will have some changes, some wrinkles, a decrease in the moisturization of the skin. And also collagen active could be a way to increase the collagen production, promote antioxidant intake, and also will improve the moisturization of the skin. And so it can be also in healthy aging a way to support the skin support and really to have an anti-wrinkle effect, and also for, I would say, the imperfection of the skin. And so it could be also a part of the healthy aging, but it's more for, I would say, not really for health, it's more for the skin and the appearance. So, but it's important also to mention it. So, so we will have really several nutritional and natural strategies for healthy aging. So I thank you for your attention, and if you have any questions, you can post your question or also send an email to the customer service.
Exactly. So we will make arrive to you potential questions, because this is a recording, so people will watch it later, and maybe if there are any questions, they will for sure to make them arrive to customer service, and then of course to you. Well, fantastic. I really enjoyed your presentation. So many good information. different strategies for aging on a healthy way, which is good. I can imagine that you should put in practice all the strategies, right? Because that's way more effective than just
Yeah.
some of them. So do exercise, have a balanced diet, and all the rest that you talked about at the same time. So I would like to thank you for your excellent presentation and all the information provided. And well, we're looking forward for the next one.
Thank you.
I'm going to stop the recording right now.